To most people, you're the image that they see. But no matter how polished and successful you may appear on the outside, there's often that feeling inside that you're never quite enough.
Rainbows to Riches.
Welcome back to Rainbows to Riches, guys, a podcast tailored but not limited to the LGBTQ plus community. I'm Raylee, and until recently, I had no financial guidance until I met Drew and his husband, Michael. They not only became my mentors, but close friends. Introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm Drew. I've run 3 successful businesses around the world. I've owned commercial and residential real estate, but most importantly, I've mentored people, which makes me feel really, really good. And I'm hoping now that this podcast will give access for me to reach a wider audience.
I'm Michael. I have a very varied and complicated life history. I'm Drew's husband, but the lesson that I've learned is you have to work through and overcome, which is how I got to where I am today.
Today's episode is the very first episode of our second season, and we're going to start strong talking about self-image, how we build our self-image, how you guys have built your self-image, we want to know how you got to where you are now, because you guys got there through different paths. You've been through different things that shaped your self-esteem in different ways, which might have impacted your financial decisions, and therefore your financial situation back then. I know that Michael grew up different than Drew. I know that you had more access and more acceptance from your family. So let's explore this topic, this self-image topic, and how it impacts our behavior, because you brought a research for us.
Oh, I did. According to a study by Experian, the LGBTQ plus community is more likely to struggle with overspending and carrying high credit card debt, which are both contributing factors to financial instability.
We're here to explore why that happens in our community so much sometimes, why we are more prone to fall into these traps, to present our image in a certain way and eventually get on debt, because that was what happened to me. I know that was what happened to you. How is it for you, Michael?
Well, when I was a kid, I was sort of bullied and teased because I wasn't like the other boys. I was a little effeminate. I was super intellectual.
Ooh,
and
artistic.
Very artistic, yes. But I pretended it didn't matter. I pretended it didn't hurt my feelings. I got really good at putting on a very polished, comfortable air, but it really hurt. It really did some damage. And it affected the way I chose to present an image to the outside world.
How about you, Drew? How was when you were building your image? Because I feel like I am going through this right now.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out, what I'm going to become, what the path that I want to follow. And we all have these questions. How should I present? Is this okay? Mm-hmm. Is this not okay? Based on the way that you grew up.
Well, because your image is in flux. You're kind of
transitioning
and transitioning
exactly.
Even as we speak.
Yeah.
But I was really very lucky, probably luckier than most. I was raised by highly educated, loving parents, had a wonderful upbringing. I was married to a woman. I have wonderful kids. I called them kids. I'll always call them kids, even though the baby is 48. He is still my kid. But overall, I had an amazingly supportive family. And they encouraged me, and they gave me all the emotional and intellectual support that any family could ever give you. But I never did get any financial advice. That's just one of those things that, like so many families in my day, nobody heard about that, or today. It was just one of those things that was never discussed. But early on, I was lucky enough to be mentored by 3 different employers of mine who just took it upon themselves to mentor me which made a huge difference and which gave me the ability, I think, to be successful in everything that I've done over all these years.
And you felt completely accepted by these men. I'm assuming they were straight men.
They were all straight men. They all were very well aware of my sexual orientation. Couldn't care less. It was really like I
Your
had brown
sexuality
hair.
didn't matter.
It truly was no issue. And because of them, I really was able to create a life in both New York and in Sao Paulo and in Barcelona, running businesses, in large part because of the mentoring that these three men gave to me.
Was there any time that you were like, oh, I have this, I need to have this to enhance my image, or a sense of like to fit in with the other men, to, just to present your new professional self? Was there anything an example?
Well, now that you ask, I was not really influenced. There was no social media, and I was not really very influenced by advertising just in and of itself on television or on the radio, which is all we had back then. But one thing that I do remember...
You're not that old. They had television. What are you talking about?
I said they had television, and, well, I had a little tiny television. It was this big. It was like 10 inches.
You're not 80.
Well, one thing there was, though, when I first began in business, I had a credit card, and I was very good about paying it off on time, never accumulated any debt, but my goal was to get an American Express card, which was only green or gold in those days, and I was able to get a gold one. I was very proud of myself. A number of years later, they came out with a platinum card.
And you wanted that card.
And the card cost $300 a year in the 1970s.
And not many people had it. That's the
Nobody.
important.
It just came
so
out.
it was
Nobody had it.
special.
And it said it gave you additional benefit. It didn't give you anything really that I used. But I got one, and I was just so proud of it. And one of the first times I used it, I went into a shop, and I bought my little thing, and this older woman behind the counter, I give her my credit card, and she looks at it, and she turns it over. I didn't know they came in gray. Burst my bubble. so much for that.
You were feeling, she just didn't know.
She didn't know. No, she didn't know. She wasn't trying to be condescending or offensive. She just had never seen a gray American Express card. Now, of course, they have them in black. And I think you have to spend $150,000 a year, and it costs, I just looked at $3,200
Something
or something.
ridiculous.
It costs a lot.
Just so you can flash a black.
Just so you can show a black card. And I'm not getting one of those.
I wouldn't let him get one of those.
How about you, Michael?
Well, one of the things that I have in my history, aside from being raised in a fairly conservative Catholic family, we moved around a lot. Or rather, my mother moved me around a lot. So I went from one school system where I was kind of middle class and good student to a school system where I was like the genius. And it was a very complicated southern Florida city where there was a lot of racial issues. And I was so confused by the whole new value system. And I just kind of withdrew. Then I moved to another town where it was super wealthy. And I went from being an A student to being a D student. And at that point, I started feeling peer pressure like I had never felt before.
In what sense?
Well, they had certain clothing that they wore. There were shoes that were very much designer shoes at the time, Calso Earth shoes. And I couldn't afford them. So we found a version of them at like a discount store. And I wore those. Well, guess what? Kids know they're fake. Then they wore these certain types of Lee corduroy jeans. This is like 1974, 75. I couldn't afford the label, so I wore other corduroy jeans. They knew they were. I mean, there was like a number of things.
Did anybody ever like make fun of you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was new kid, so everybody noticed me. And they picked me apart. Now, probably in hindsight, they didn't pick me apart as much as I felt picked apart, but they definitely commented. They made comments about the fact that that's not real. That's not real. So I was trying to copy what I saw as a standard. And I learned real quickly, I can't copy other people. So I set about creating my own separate image. If you can't be part of the group, stand out in a positive way. So I've always had a fear of blending in, a fear of trying to look like a cheap copy of something successful.
Period. You went your way. You followed.
Yeah, so for me, there was no social media. I mean, I remember seeing things on television, a haircut on television, and bringing it to the barber, and he didn't know who it was, but it was a photograph I took from the television. It's not like I could pull out my phone and say.
Do you think? Well, I'm sure it did, but now we're talking about finance and how these types of examples shape our mind, these traumatic experiences of the past and peer pressure and societal expectations, and how that will eventually impact the way that we spend our money, our financial behavior. In my personal experience, it was related to beauty and femininity. I was not born in the body that I identified myself with. I felt misaligned with who I was. So since I was a kid, I was exploring feminine, tighter clothes. I was always tinier than my age for a boy. So I often needed to buy clothes in the female section, and they made me feel better anyways. I had issues finding shoe size because they were too small and they were never available in my size. And I remember that skincare, makeup, hair, and clothing were the only thing that I could use to kind of see a little bit of myself. But then, obviously, we're young. We don't know much about ourselves, much less of the world. And I came to the United States. It was a very different reality for me. Everything was easier to have access to, but I fell into the trap of it's never good enough. It's never feminine enough. It's never beautiful enough. I'm never going to fit in. So it definitely shaped the way that I spent my money, because the horrible things I have done in the name of beauty and self-esteem and trying to fit in a group is crazy.
So one of the funny things with me is because my mother was very frugal. My mother was very good at, fixing things. She did everything herself. Like Martha Stewart. Nowadays, my mother was that person. She loved to learn how to do, sewing and knitting and painting and refinishing furniture, reupholstering. I got the sense that you don't need to spend all the money on things, but I always wanted nice things. So my nice things couldn't be knockoff brand because everybody knew. So I was very good at finding quirky, unusual, inexpensive things. And for me, it was like hunting. So I was very conscious of taking that little bit of money I had and stretching it. Sometimes I bought used clothes. Sometimes I shopped in the women's department. I'm small enough that I can still shop in the boys' department if I want to. And I mean, it was always a sense of pride for me to use the money to create an image that I wanted to create, but not to overspend. I've always been frugal. That's my mother and me. Coupons and anything you can get a discount. I never want to pay full price for anything.
Period. I was kind of different because Brazilians, if you're Brazilian and you're watching this right now, you know what I'm talking about. But Drew, why do you think that some people come with more financial responsibility and some people don't? Because you have, out of the three of us, I feel like you have had financial responsibility your entire life. I want you to talk about the car example.
Yeah, the car story.
Just so we can set this conversation so they can understand what I'm talking about. Tell us a little bit more about the car example.
Well, even though I was always very financially responsible and never got myself into debt, never did anything I shouldn't do, I I did like to be, I don't want to say to show off my success, but I didn't mind people knowing I was successful.
You wanted something aligned to the image
And-
you were trying to build. You were
Right,
trying to build
right.
the image of a successful
Exactly
man.
right. And when I was a kid, I worked in a rent-a-car place, which was in a garage, and all the fellows from the union, the directors, the president of the union, some union, I don't even know what union, all parked there, and every one of them drove a Lincoln Town car. And they brought it in, and I had to park it, and they came in, and I had to go get it for them. And every time I sat down in that car and drove it up the 25 feet to the door, it was just like heaven.
And this was back in 1960,
In the 60s.
69. So cars back then did not have the
no,
bells and
earlier
whistles
than
that
that.
we have now. So
Oh, no,
that was
no.
our luxury
It was
car.
probably 66, 67,
Okay.
in that area. And I always wanted that car. And as soon as we were in Spain and we came back here in 1978, and I had needed a car, an apartment, and the first thing I did was go out and get a Lincoln Town car, and was just in heaven. And so much so that I continued with Lincoln Town cars for 40-something years. Every few years, I would go back to the same guy who was my age in the beginning, was like 100. I was still buying the same guy. He knew me, came in, didn't play games, bought another town car until they stopped making them.
You became loyal to the brand.
Totally loyal. Not that anybody pushed me there, but it's because I had seen it as a kid and thought it was just the most luxurious, beautiful thing ever. And it really was, just in case you
The
didn't know that.
important element of that is he identified with that car. That is who he was. Everyone who saw him in that car made fun of him because of that car.
Not
that's
everyone.
that's what I want to understand, because like people who are making fun of him, they might not understand the symbolism of
Right.
that car. I want to know the people in your industry. How did the man who had the same cars as you perceived you? Did it enhance your image to the people, to your target audience, to the people that you wanted it to enhance it to?
I don't know that anybody I knew ever had a Lincoln Town car, ever once. But Michael said they made fun of me. They didn't make fun of me. It's just they thought this was a car of an older person. Like,
We used to
But
want him to wear
what
a
I'm
cap because he
saying
looked like a
is-
limousine driver.
Somebody, another man your age back then, who also drove that car, you felt connected with him. Like he would understand you.
In the early days.
probably. I like I say, I don't think I knew another person who had a Lincoln Town car. I had an uncle on the West Coast
So why do you wanted that car?
because it was the most gorgeous car ever made in the world. And I just adored it. And I guess I didn't even think of what other people thought. I don't think people said anything. But there were people who thought, well, that's an old man's car. You're 30 years old.
So you're trying to say that it didn't really work out. Your plan didn't really work
Oh, it
out.
worked out perfectly. I loved the car.
Period.
For 5, I was 70 years old still buying town cars,
See, it
and they
doesn't
stopped making
matter
it.
if people were making fun.
And
He
and
was
mind you,
happy.
I don't know why he's saying that. Who made fun of me?
You talk
You?
about the fact that they called it the mothership. Somebody called it the mothership.
I took that as a compliment.
Exactly. We're making fun of you.
That's right.
And-
no, he didn't.
What does
That
that
was
mean?
Bob.
we would say we're going to give him a driver's cap because it looked like a limousine.
It was
a
a
car
limousine.
that represented, like, you go to the prom in the car. You don't drive to the supermarket. in a
Maybe that's why
Lincoln
nobody had it except me.
But it's also important to recognize that when they stopped making that car, he was devastated. He
Okay,
had
well,
no
I can
identity.
never drive again.
Cars meant nothing to him. So he finally came to me at one point and he said, "Find me a car. I don't care. Just find me a car." So I did the car shopping because I love cars. I don't have a brand loyalty or anything, but I knew what his standards were. So I bought a car, which was a Lexus, that fit the image I saw him. And he loves the Lexus now. He grew
Yes.
to
no,
love it.
I grew to love it. I don't love it. I now am happy
Pay
with
us.
it. It is not. It is not a Lincoln Town car,
Be
but
our
it is wonderful.
sponsor.
But the one and I thought they were going to come back with the town car. And we went to a car show at the Javits Center in New York to the Lincoln dealership, and I went over to this woman and who was selling there, and said, I've had Lincolns for 40 years. I can't believe that they're not making it. They're going to be making another one. What's going on? And she looked at me, and at the time I was probably 70, and she said to me, "I'll tell you what I tell everybody who says that to me. Get over it." That's what she told me.
So there were people looking for that.
Yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of people who had that car for years and years and years.
And for me personally, it wasn't about brands. I needed a quirky car. I need to find a car that I could find in a parking lot that wasn't like anyone else's car. And most recently, I had a lime green Honda Civic, and everyone knew my car. And I loved that car. I held on to it I would have held on for it longer. I had it for 8.5 years when it got totaled. Not my fault. It got totaled, and I wanted them to repair it. I didn't want them to total it, but it didn't make any sense. And I then had to buy another car. The car I drive now is a bright yellow-green Hyundai Kona. You can see me from space in this car. It's even a little bright for me, but I would hate to drive. I would never buy a gray car. They're boring. I would not want to buy a car that looked like everybody else's car. His car looks like everyone else's car, and it fits him perfectly, but I always have to have a weird car.
Did you ever get in debt trying to fulfill one of these wishes that come because of a certain pressure to fit in?
I overspent on things. I bought a pair of boots once that in 1984, the original price was $1,200. I got them for half price. So I paid $600. I didn't need these fancy boots, but they were half price. And I still have them, and I still wear them.
Yes, that from his mother.
Oh my God, yes. He used to call sale, and she would get all nervous.
I guess the point of this episode is because the way that I have been changing my mind is I have done so many stupid things because of things that don't matter. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a process of really paying attention to what matters. Thanks to my mentors. Mm-hmm. You guys are a contribution to adjusting the way that I think. So I think about my future more than a quick experience.
And there's nothing wrong with spending money on something that's important to you.
Yes.
But if your spending gets you in debt, you have to rethink it.
And I feel like we are very motivated And in our LGBTQ plus community, I feel like insecurity motivates us a lot to spend more. And brands low-key take advantage of that. And I was completely brainwashed by brands, I need to get this, I need to get that. Those products are the same, but the brand one is worth more. And I went through a process of why? Why am I thinking like that? Is this coming from me? Or is this me trying to fit into, something I'm not ready for yet? It was a process of being honest with yourself. I want this, but now it's not going to work. And it's not an easy process. I'm just not saying that it works all the time. It's really not. But this is what I wanted to make this episode about, a message for people to start changing their mindset. And, I feel like it's over that whole pretending you're rich and pretending, getting yourself in debt, just to that's what they want. I feel like our whatever enemies we got, whoever don't want us to succeed as a community, I feel like that's what they want. They want us to spend crazy, to be insecure, and you need this, and forget about our financial future.
Well, there is marketing is a big field, a multi-billion-dollar field, where they look and see how can we get people to buy this? How do we market it and make it look like that's the person I want to be, the person that owns that or drives that or whatever. I am like a marketing executive's nightmare. Because if you're telling me I am supposed to do this or wear this or live this place, I go the other way. And it sometimes works against me because very often I will resist buying what is common or popular. And it's popular usually because people like it, and buy something else and then regret it. I have made choices based on I can't buy that because everybody I know has that. And then eventually gone back and go, now I know why everybody has it. So
But
brands I'm not a brand name person, but every once in a while I'll go, I understand the quality of buying a Versace or buying things like that. But to me, I'd rather buy 5 things for less money than one thing. I love shopping. So I want more things, not fancier things.
Period. What is the taking into account your wisdom, your
Wisdom.
years?
I like wisdom.
Don't you consider yourself a wise man?
He's a wise ass.
Old man. Does that count?
What is an advice that you guys can give to switch this mentality in our generation?
I don't know if it's a generational thing or even a social media thing. It's simply the way they do marketing now. But the point of this episode is that if in order to maintain or enhance your image, you have to get yourself in debt, try to resist that as best you can. If you really need something, absolutely, it's just you've wanted your Lincoln Town Car for forever, save up the money and get it. Maybe you can't get it this year or this month, but if you take out a loan just for something which is going to enhance your image, you get yourself in debt, you've created a situation which is just not financially healthy.
The thing that I think, my takeaway, my point of view on this episode and this information is kind of understand why. Why is that important to you to buy? For me to decide I can't buy something that everyone else has, that's a weird mentality. I know it. I catch myself occasionally. I walk into a department store and I see 5 of the same shirts on a rack. I don't want it because then other people could have that same shirt. I would go to the clearance center and I look for that one shirt that it's probably on clearance because they sold out of it, but in my mind. So I have to constantly recognize that I'm not buying what is best for me. I am buying what is different. And that can get me into a problem because sometimes when you buy different and it doesn't work, you got to buy something else. I have gotten sale price things that were so bad that I had to buy it again. I would do that with shoes all the time. I would buy shoes that were poor quality. And then like 2 months later, I go, well, got to go buy the real ones. So I buy them twice instead of one good purchase.
Period. I would say that for me it was understanding my value as a human person. Yeah. It's late, guys. Come on. For me, it was understanding my value as a person, and for example, spending my money try to spend my money in an investment that will give me this experience. So I started to buy books. I joined a book club. They're cheaper than Botox and fillers. I don't use Botox and fillers anymore, but I used to spend a lot of money, and I used to get on debt because of them. So like, it's not even like I'm spending all of my money in it. I'm spending money that I don't have to get it done. Mm-hmm. And that was obviously like, oh my gosh, I need to look more feminine. I this and that, more beautiful. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is not working. This is not making me happy. This is not My life is not going forward. It's just going behind sometimes because you're making more debt. And when it hits you, it's just like, you need to wake up. Like, who do you want to be?
But at least it hit you. I mean, there are people it doesn't hit them till they're a lot older than you are.
And that's why we're here.
And that's why we're here.
That's why we're
That's right.
here. Join our club.
The thing that I can acknowledge, when I met you, it was literally, I think, the first week that you had announced that you were transitioning. I mean, you've always been feminine presenting, but it was
Medically, I think.
Yeah, medically, that it was going to be a life for you. It wasn't like playing. And at the beginning of that process, your presentation was very dramatic. A lot of makeup, very long, very sharp nails. Everything was exaggerated.
Very clockable.
Okay. I don't use that expression, but I know what you mean. I mean, you looked
Clocky.
trans. As I've gotten to know you, and as you have gotten more responsible and things like that, you barely wear any makeup. You wear your nails a lot shorter and often with neutral. And to me, that represents the fact that you're much more comfortable in your own skin. So you're not trying to overcompensate by putting on all of this stuff. I tend to occasionally overcompensate for feeling invisible by putting, like, I love bright colors. Everything's got to be a bright color. And I love clothes that nobody else has.
Exclusive.
But it's for me because I have this internal voice that tells me I'm invisible. So I work the opposite. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to stand out. And that's where my money goes. I want to have experiences that nobody. When we travel, I don't want to go to Italy because everybody's been to Italy. Everybody loves it. I want to go to Sweden. And that's just the way my mind works.
Get this out of Drew is going to be a little harder. So I think I'm going to try to make you answer for him. I need to find out an insecurity that this man goes through that makes him spend more money than you would.
Well, I have insecurities, and talking about being
Like, what, you know,
invisible,
for
but I don't throw money at those issues.
We can't buy him cheap clothes. Everything I buy for him, who doesn't have a label on it, he is much more comfortable when he's wearing very conservative, traditional coats that are cut a certain way. He is not one to experiment on appearance. So for him, it's really about what's not going to look ridiculous, what's not going to look unflattering, what's going to show off himself in the best way.
But tell me about that. You were talking about when you were aging, that it hit you a certain time that you felt pressure to change yourself a little bit.
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was when I was 40, and I was kind of schlumpy and losing my hair. And I ran into somebody I had known from years before who was schlumpy and losing his hair. And he had shaved his head, and he was a muscle guy. I said, how'd you do that? He said, I went to a gym. Next day, I joined the gym. 2 weeks later, I cut my hair off, shaved my head, joined a gym, and got really big. I mean, there was a time
When I
in my
met him,
40s and 50s, I was big. And that made me feel wonderful. Because I was always intelligent. Everybody always seemed to respect me and respect my intelligence. But I never felt sexy. When I got big muscles and shaved my head, I felt sexy.
Your life, period.
But then
Everybody thought of him as sexy, except for the car. There was nothing sexy
The
about
car. But you never felt like you had to go. Like, I feel like the point here is that everyone goes through this. Every single person goes through this. It doesn't matter where you come from, but it's the way that we deal with it. You knew how to deal with it more. You didn't go crazy and bought 3 cars.
Well, I just dealt with it differently. But no, I didn't go crazy and buy 3 cars. But
Or never got in debt because of that car.
Oh, God, no.
Or never got in debt because of a good quality thing.
no, I never got in debt. I was scared to death of being in debt. That's just not something you did.
Period. So that's the point. We're trying to learn.
We should all be like him.
Except
for the car.
No,
That's my goal.
we should have a Drew. We should be a little bit like Drew. My goal here is to become a little bit more like you.
Okay. And that's good. It's a little bit, because nobody's going to be me. And most people like you consider me boring. But I'm really not. I'm really
That's why we compliment
loads of
each
fun.
other. That's why this whole team compliments
That's
each
true.
other. Any advice? Well, you already did that. I would say, love yourself, man. Learn about personal finance, and you're going to be feeling better. And you're not going to be feeling like taking $1,000 from your savings to go put fillers on, girls. Be
Exactly.
smart. Have your own money. Learn about finance. So join us, because you end up becoming like the four.
What happened to 5? Wasn't it always
Because
5?
look what I did before.
Oh.
Because you end up becoming like the 5 people you hang out the most, and you can hang out with us on YouTube. So make sure to tune in. Make sure to share with a friend. Anything else that you guys want to share?
Nope. I think we're running out of time.
We have run out of time already. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like
Comment?
And subscribe.
and share with a friend.
And this podcast is for entertainment
And
education only.
And if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know.
Thanks.
Period. Thank you.
Good night.